Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to another vinyl collection update. It's been a while since I've sat down and talked about albums that I bought and why I decided to scoop them up. But we've got some gifts also thrown in the mix. This is a giant haul that I've been waiting to update for my pre-order to come in. It still isn't here though. I haven't gotten confirmation that it's shipped yet, so I figured I would update this because I know I'll be buying records in the interim. And it's a big haul. I'm not holding the whole haul up. It's this stack here, but I'm going to break it up by location like I always do, even though I've gone to these places multiple times since I last updated my collection. And on my first haul from there, I was feeling the duos. I was feeling the duo love. You know, I went in there and I picked up Stijl, Stijl. I have had somebody in my comments tell me how this is said, and I still don't know if it's true. But Stijl, the White Stripes' second record. Like I said in my review, I love this album, and I'm on the hunt for their discog, and now I've almost got all of it. Now I'm just missing their first and their last album. But then I also found Death from Above 1979's Third Man Records live album, which I don't have that many live albums in my vinyl collection, but if I find one that I think would pique my interest, I'm going to scoop it up. And I've listened to this thing. It sounds really good. I think that the mix for the show was quality. I think the set list was really nice. And it's a good showcase of their talents in a live setting. And because they also had it there, I also scooped up the Physical World. They had their new album too, but I figured that would be there for the next time that I would decide to snag it. And so I grabbed the Physical World, their comeback record, and a record that I do enjoy, even if I constantly undercut it. I still enjoy this record a hell of a lot. I think it's got some really good jams, and I think that it helped refine their sound that they would then burgeon from in more successful ventures personally. It's a good setup record, if you ask me, and I think that it's still got some good jams. The second time I went was while my mom was in town, and I went there just to kind of relax. It was vacation time. And so I scooped up a couple records that I didn't expect to see, but I'm happy to have added to my collection. First up, Turnover's Peripheral Vision. I love this record so very much. I think that it is some really good, dreamy vibes. Shout out to Hannah, Infinity on Hannah. She got me into this group, and I like their discography by and large. And I told them that I got this, and they asked me which pressing I got. So I'm going to show off the pressing that I did get, because I learned that there's a shit ton of pressings for this album. I got the orange one, the gold one. I got the orange pressing. Just a solid creamsicle-like orange that I think looks really pretty. Those pressings, by the way, of Death from Above, the Physical World, and all that, they're all kind of just standard pressings. That's why I didn't pull them out. But the last album I added, My Brand, Ixnay on the Hombre by the Offspring. I adore this record, as you guys know. If you saw my discography review, you know I hold this record to a very high regard. I think that it is a benchmark record for the band. I think it's a classic, and I'm very happy to have Crazy Taxi's All I Want on vinyl. The insert's really cool. This is just a quality fucking release that was a surprise to see, but a delight to grab. I don't own many pop-punk records, I've realized in my recent months, so I've been kind of trying to fix that. But the pressing itself is also sick as hell. Look at this. It's on like this gold-ass, bold gold pressing. It's beautiful, and I love this. I love this release so much. I don't know what anniversary this had recently. This is from 2017 though, which I guess was an anniversary for this record. But I adore this record, you guys know that. Since I just talked about a couple records I picked up at Vinyl Rescue Project while Mom was in town, let's keep it to my mom's visit by talking about the records I picked up at FYE, of all places. I was there just goofing and gaffing, looking through the mall. You know, I don't normally ever expect to find anything that I'm actually seeking at FYE, but I found two records that were kind of on sites for me. First off being Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge. I love this record. Arguably my favorite My Chem record, and I think that it's a masterpiece. Very important record to shaping my musical tastes. A lot of classics on here, and I had to get it. I've never seen it in person, even though this is
a 2014 repressing. I haven't seen it in the flesh until I bought it. I always see their live album that recreates this cover and the Black Parade, but never this. And now I'm happy to own it. The other one I arguably love 10 times more than that record, but still wasn't on site. Plastic Beach. Again, Gorillaz classic. I love this record a lot. You guys already know that. More than likely, if you saw my favorite Gorillaz tracks, my favorite Gorillaz song is on this record. And yeah, I love this album a lot. I love the packaging of this pressing. I think that it looks really clean. I always love the art that they throw into their stuff. It looks so goddamn gorgeous. It's a basic pressing, but like the labeling and everything, it just looks great. I love this album, and so happy. Again, an instant buy. There was a handful of records that I wanted to get that were there that day, but I was trying to restrain myself, so I just bought these two, because they were kind of, again, essential listening to me as a music fan. And then lastly, before we get to the gifts that I got, because that's the big finale, I went to the Karma Records here on the east side of Indy, and I scooped up a couple other on-site records. One of them I figured I would have seen there, just because they've had this particular band's albums there. But the other one was a big surprise. The big surprise was Fresh Fruit for Riding Vegetables, one of my favorite punk albums. I love this band in general. I think the Dead Kennedys are great. But this is easily one of their best. I love this album. Classics on classics on classics. And again, kind of an essential, one of my favorite albums of all time, so I had to grab it. The other one is an album that I always loved, but every year that passes, I get more and more love for it, to the point that it's probably my favorite record the year that it came out, and it's becoming one of my favorite rock albums of all time. Bedlam and Goliath by the Mars Volta. You know, I've given a lot of hype to this record in my discography review, but to further cement, I love this album so very much. I bought it over Francis. They didn't have Francis. If they would have had Francis, I'd have bought Francis. But they had this, and they had this and a handful of other records of theirs, and I was like, yeah, I gotta get Bedlam and Goliath, because this album is incredible. You guys already know I think it's easily one of their best. I think it's got a good harnessing of its sound. I think its utilization of its concept is well executed. And one thing I didn't know was that this vinyl pressing came with a bonus track, like a B-side. Similarly to Francis the Mute having the title track be a B-side, this has got Mr. Muggs, which is a B-side. And every single disc on this, there's 3 discs, they all have a different type of pressing on it. This is the second disc, and it is on a bold-ass, if I can get it out of the sleeve, bold-ass white pressing. That is the whitest white pressing that I own. It matches my walls, it's so white. Disc 1 is on a nice gold-looking pressing. It's another gold pressing that we got going on this month. While the Mr. Muggs single comes on a glow-in-the-dark pressing. So it's got this like opaqueness to it, but I'm pretty sure it glows in the dark, because it looks like it's made of that glow-in-the-dark material. That looks clean as hell. I kind of like the like opaque look that it's got going on. You can kind of see through it. It's kind of neat. Kind of gives like a shower glass feel. And lastly, we got a couple gifts to go over, because my birthday was back in April, and I had a couple gifts given to me by some friends. Hannah from Infinity on Hannah scooped up Dissociation for me by Dillinger Skate Plan, their last album. It was a record store day pressing. One of the few records I was looking for on this past record store day. But it's an incredibly powerful record. Another gold pressing. A really nice marbly gold pressing. Looks really fucking cool. It's a great record. Love this album. Really full of grief in a sort of sense. It's sort of a eulogy of the band sort of scenario. There's a lot of stuff that they're working through lyrically. But it's very intense. It's very experimental even for this band. They dip into some interesting territories. And it's a really, really good album. Another one of my favorite metal albums of the last 10 years. Lastly, John and Rachel chipped in together to get me a gift that I was not expecting at all. Never in a million years would I have expected actually owning this in my collection. But man, it feels good. As you guys know, one of the artists that I'm looking to get all of the discography of is Beck. I'm a big Beck fan. I'm a huge, big old Beck fan. And I own a decent amount of his catalog on vinyl. But there's one album I never thought I'd really ever get, because it doesn't have any repressings because of the label that it's on, and it's sort of a huge rarity in the scene. If you find it, you cherish it if you ever get your hands on it. And now I have, and I'm really happy to add Midnite Vultures to my collection. I still cannot believe that I'm holding this album. I took the cover from my Offspring album and used it for this, just because like I don't have extras. I need to get more for my collection just to preserve them. But yeah. Oh my god. I cannot believe that I still can't believe that I'm holding this. When I saw this, I was like, holy shit. This is real. This is really real. I'm kicking my 30s off in the funkiest of ways, and that was catalyst by getting Midnite Vultures on vinyl. Thank you, John. Thank you, Rachel. You guys are the best, and I couldn't be more thankful for the stuff that I've been adding to my collection lately, namely like this and Dissociation. I'm glad I could find 3 Cheers. A lot of good stuff that I've been finding lately that's just been filling me with so much joy. But that's what I've added to my collection recently. What do you think of these albums? What do you think of this growing collection of mine? Let me know in the comments down below. Have you picked up any records lately? Let me know. What have you been finding in your local towns, local stores? What have you been buying online? Let me know. I'm going to get out of here, though. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like. If you want to see more, consider subscribing. Special thanks to my patrons. If you want to take it a step further and support me on there, you get early access to content, exclusive content, or to help drive the community with polls. It's linked in the description. I have been Viral Rack. Thank you again so very much for watching. You guys have good days, lives, and situations, and I'll see you another day.